Hey, how's it going? My name's Jib, and I hope it's not too late, but I kinda wanted to take a look at my top 10 figures of 2023. Cause this year has been beautiful for collecting figures, and by collecting figures, I mean wasting my money on overpriced pieces of plastic. But before we begin, some ground rules have to be set up, because some of the figures that are going to be shown off on this list didn't exactly come out this year. They might have come out a year or two ago, some of them maybe even 10 years ago. My point being that this isn't a list of figures that came out this year, more of figures that I happened to buy this year. So with that out of the way, let's get started. Number 10. Thrilling 30 Nightbeat is a figure I picked up by the tail end of the year that I really had no expectations for going in. So for him to finally arrive with weak joints, poor tolerances, and generally really bad plastic was nothing short of underwhelming. Because the figure does have really cool engineering and articulation, but it's just all held back by that dog shit tolerance of plastic and materials. So that's why my little blue boy lands at the 10th spot, because I don't hate him, but he is disappointing. Number 9. While the rest of Yolopark's first AMK wave genuinely impressed me, Optimus Primal here was definitely the weakest of the bunch. Because first of all, one of the pegs on the back of his luscious thighs broke off, and for some reason some of the joints just straight up came loose out of the box, and have only gotten looser. Which really does suck because the figure does have a beautiful sculpt and amazing articulation to complement it. So because of that, I still recommend the figure, but I recommend it with a little asterisk beside it. So that's why this little monkey makes it to the 9th spot. Number 8. Now from this point going forward, there really are no bad figures, only absolute bangers. Each of the figures here are so good that they're almost interchangeable in their spots. Kinda destroying the point of a list, but I don't care. This is my list at the end of the day, so I get to do what I want. So with that being said, here is number 8, who is Legacy G2 Jhiaxus. Now, this is a figure that caught me completely by surprise, because I saw him online for 13 bucks and thought to myself, hey, this looks like a bad figure I can make a funny video out of. But instead I was blindsided by really fun and smart articulation that still to this day doesn't feel loose. The only real catch or catches with the figure are his ugly color scheme and his borderline nothing of an alt mode. But if you can look past those two things, then yeah, you're gonna love this guy. 7. Wfc Cyclonus is a figure I would have loved whether I had customized him or not. Because he is a figure that does some things extremely well, meanwhile doing other things even better. Like his transformation, for example, because very rarely do I come across a transformation that I do once, and then almost immediately afterwards I kinda want to do it again, just for the sake of the transformation. Because to me this figure is the standard of what a Transformers figure should do, which is to deliver a good robot mode, a good vehicle mode, great articulation, and pretty okay sculpt. But now you might be stopping to think and say, hey Jib, why'd you put the figure at 7th place if you're gonna glaze him so much? And I'd look at you and respond with, because my beautiful chat viewer, I didn't truly love him until I customized him and bought him an overpriced $40 upgrade kit, because the stock head is trash. 6. Yolopark's AMK Optimus Prime is first and foremost a beautiful figure, because I stand by the statement that he ate up the entire wave's paint budget, cause look at that silver ass. God damn! But then you take that beautiful paintwork and combine it with genius engineering and articulation, and you get a figure that almost made it to my top 5. Number 5. We're halfway done. Flame Toys Leo Prime, otherwise known as my first model kit ever, as well as non-transforming figure ever. Because this figure right here is responsible for opening up the floodgates to a new subsection of my crippling addiction. Because Flame Toys Leo Prime emphasized the robot mode aspect of a Transformer in a way no other figure ever has to me, by not transforming. Cause that sacrifice is absolutely worth it, cause even when comparing him to other figures that don't transform, Leo Prime wipes the floor with them. So that's why this little pussy makes it to 5th place. 4. KO Mpm Jazz is a beautiful and interesting figure for his size. That's so well thought out and executed that he rivals my precious baby Dorito Starscream for the title of Best NPM. Because like Starscream, this little guy right here is plastered with beautiful sculpt work from head to toe. And then combine that sculpt work with gallons of paint and you get a figure that's incredibly movie accurate. Both his robot mode and vehicle mode all while having some of the best articulation I think you can find on an MPM figure, and figure his size. But the transformation is where my nitpicks start to present themselves, because while the top half is really well engineered and really interesting in what it does, the bottom half is just an absolute pain to put together. So because of that, his ass gets the 4th spot. 3. Generation's Thrilling 30 Springer is a figure I used to own many years ago when I was a wee young lad. But for some reason, little old me kinda lost him or sold him off. I don't know what I did. But if I'd ever encounter that past version of myself, I'd beat him to a pulp. Because Thrilling 30 Springer is one of my favorite figures ever. Because this figure to this day is still incredible. Even though some of the joints and some of the articulation is old, the figure's aesthetic and plastic holds up beautifully. Because if there's a Mount Rushmore of Transformer figures, he's up there. I don't know who the other 3 would be, but I know for a fact he'd be up there. 2. If there's a figure that rivals my Flame Toys Leo Prime, it's definitely Yolopark's AMK Bumblebee. Because take everything I've said good about the Yolopark line so far, and just apply it right here. With the biggest issue, of course, being the lack of more paint. But to that, I gotta remind you that the AMK line is made with all intent and purpose to be painted up. But what about Optimus? Yeah, even Optimus is meant to be painted up. Because once again, these guys are $35. $35. $35. That's right, $35. Because while Bumblebee might not have the best paint out of the 3, he has the best engineering and articulation, which for me makes him leagues better than the other 2. And it's not just that, because the tolerances of the plastic feel just the best on him. I'm guessing because of his small stature, because he's got to compensate somehow. Oh my god. Praise Black Jesus, we're done. Unique Toys Desperado, otherwise known as Dark of the Moon Megatron, is one of the most breathtaking figures I've ever laid my hands on. And is a figure that deserves not only the title of Best Figure of the Year, but the best figure in my collection. Because this is a figure that I was debating whether I should have customized or not. Because even without paint, the figure is incredible and impressive from every angle. The figure honestly looks like a statue and is genuinely some of Unique Toys' best work. Especially since this figure also transforms and articulates beautifully. And then throw in me growing a fat pair of nuts to customize this figure into something that is now irreplaceable in my collection. Because even without the paint, this figure would have been number 1. And that kinda wraps it up. While there were other figures that I did pick up this year, they were mainly for custom work. But there is another figure that I did pick up this last year that isn't a Transformer, but if I did make this list about more than just Transformers, he would have definitely been number 1. And he is, of course, Mafek's Hush Batman. And you can expect a review for this guy sooner than you might think. Because with that, I'll be seeing you guys next time. So if you liked the video, like, share, comment, subscribe, notifications, all that stuff. And if you'd feel so inclined to, you can go follow me on my Instagram or my Twitter, where I maybe don't post too much Transformer stuff, but we can at least start fostering a parasocial relationship, because that could be pretty cool. And like always, thanks for watching.